I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real? Or not?
And frustratingly, it is.
How was that? Was that a good Haley Joel Osment Sora impression? I was trying
You
to.
actually did. You actually did a pretty good job.
This is doing young Haley Joel Osment, so I don't have the voice. I mean, I do. I have a pretty high pitched voice, so I kind of got the.
You got the voice for it actually.
I could be Sora. I can do dubbing. Hire me. You don't have to put
But
much effort into it.
but anyway,
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Journey to Kingdom Hearts 3 part. What part are we on?
I have no clue.
I will look it up, folks. This is
Well, I think this is part 51, I believe.
I definitely think we're in the 50s. Professionalism, aren't we, folks? Professionalism, right?
Yeah. You think by now, after doing this for however many months, we'd have gotten this down flat packed, but
Yep, 51, because last part time with the critical run, 50. So,
oh,
yeah.
nice. I had that dead on. That's nice.
And we're back with another discussion video. This time, we are discussing the Force, or, I don't know, one that's not a game, but is a game, but we can't play it.
Well, we could, but it would take a lot longer than Joel and I would really rather not invest time into, so.
A combination of Backcover and UnionCross, because we're kind of meshing the two together.
Unchained, Chi, whatever you wanna. The Chi verse. How about this? We'll call it the Chi verse.
Yes, the Cheevers. I'm going to start this conversation, Cole, with one word, and this is sort of our word of the day for this conversation: aesthetic. Yes, folks, we're going back to aesthetics again. So,
Yeah, fully agree.
let me give you my bit. So,
Well,
sorry if you hear anything in the background, by the way. I can't control that. So Kingdom Hearts has like three, maybe four aesthetics. We got just the pure Disney aesthetic, because it's Disney. We have a bit of the Final Fantasy aesthetic, which I'm gonna kind of mesh Hollow Bastion in. I think that's just
the
me.
more anime aesthetic, yeah.
We have, I call it the Organization 13 aesthetic, which is that hollow white, always with the dang black coats. Very techno.
Yeah.
Burst by Sleep kind of has its own little aesthetic. And now finally, we have the UnionCross Cheeverse aesthetic. And quite frankly, Cole, if Kingdom Hearts, Lord forbid, ever decided to just do away with Disney, do away with Final Fantasy, and just make it its own universe without any of that, which I don't think is a good idea, but if they did, I think the Cheese aesthetic is one I would go full on, and that is because it is my favorite of the original aesthetics for this game. And that's one of the reasons why I always like Backcover Union Cross. I like just the feel and the universe it's building. I like the designs and kind of that Renaissance-y mixed with just fairy tale-ish look.
And might I add another little point out is that with the Chi verse, with Union Cross and all that, we're dealing with a more fairy tale aesthetic, but it's all in 2D, especially Union Cross.
Except for
So
Backcover.
kind of harkening, except for back cover, but with Union Cross just solo, it kind of is kind of like a more modern take on the fairy tale aesthetic, but in a more 2D way. And I find that to be a kind of weird, but also really inspired choice just for the Chiverse in general.
Yeah, and probably more fairy tale than the anime called Fairy Tale.
Yeah, let's not get onto that anyway.
Well, they do call this era the Age of Fairy Tales. So.
Well, yeah, well, of course. And I'm surprised to hear you to speak highly of Union Cross, because you and I have very, very barely talked about Union Cross at all, to be fair.
I've done some research, and I like some of the ideas, and I think I can work with them in my own little fanfic idea I'm going for. So, that's probably one of the reasons why.
And I'll push what you said. I really love the aesthetic of the Chiverse. I love how the designs are distinct, and I like how colorful it is. And I like the flamboyant colors used to make that kind of fairy tale aesthetic come to life a bit more, especially in back cover too, because the way that's designed and the way it's animated and brought to life is beautiful.
Not just the design, but it's just the character models too, just the way people look. You know, not when you're not adding really silly clothes to your OC character. I'm talking about everyone else. Just kind of the jackets and the high collars are just sort of
It's very medieval almost.
medieval, but also modern too in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to say Sword Art Online, although that's the only thing I can think of.
I would go more for what would I go more
Because
for?
they're not wearing like robes and drab. They are wearing
No, no,
modern
no.
shirts.
No, the funny thing is it's almost a culmination of all the things in a weird way of what Kingdom Hearts kind of has been, but in a way that no single style overpowers the other. Like there are subtle style distinctions that are blended together. And I think a good point at that is Laria, Marluxia's somebody, and just how he's designed and his real somebody's designed with his vest, the white long shirt that kind of has a very 1700s, 1600s kind of style to it.
It makes the
And
characters pop out in a way he never did.
exactly,
Like those drab Organization 13 coats. It's like I want more of this. Like
I do too. I want to see the Nomura, especially going forward. I want to see him get a little more creative with his design because he's showing us he can do just that.
it's sort of like, and we see it a little bit in 3 with and we can do spoilers for them because we saw the trailer. Scala Akylum, I can never pronounce that.
Scala Adkylum, yes.
Scala Akylum and the 13 Darkness's new armor suit, like that looks cool.
Yeah, and Scala Adkylum in general looks great. It looks like they took like Minas Tirith and Light, put three of them together, but added the Kingdom Hearts aesthetic to it, and it looks incredible.
Yeah. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. It. Cole, what about your just overall general impressions of Cheeverse, Backcover, UnionCross, whatever?
The weird thing with the Chiverse is I never had much of an opinion of it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because I remember when I first heard of Chi before it really came to the mobile phone, especially before it came to America, it was like kind of like a Japan only thing. So really, we didn't have a lot of hands-on knowledge of it because a lot of people in America just never had that chance to really dig in. However, Nomura then confirmed it would have a very big impact on the Kingdom Hearts story, and thus Union Cross was created, and that came overseas to America, and that's how we now have access to the Chiverse. And then I stayed away from it a little time because I started with it kind of late. But the more I looked into it, then I saw Backcover, and then I saw these cutscenes by Everglow. By the way, if any of you want a good like construction of the Chiverse and how that plays out, I think Everglow's timeline episodes of the Union Cross series I think are your best way into the Chiverse. It gives you the most constructed and most laid out version of it.
Chronological order.
Exactly. So I really like the aesthetic, as Joel says. I love how everything's mixed together and it looks natural, just in spite of everything that's around you. I like a lot of the story ideas, as unknown and complicated and convoluted as they may be. I do like what they do, especially because this is one of the few times, oddly enough, that the Chiefverse kind of goes for kind of like Kingdom Hearts 1 kind of simple character moment interactions, like where you see the player that you play and Schooled, for example, you see the two of them interact and they are becoming friends, but then your character makes a decision to partake in the Keyblade War, and School doesn't want that because she's going to survive it. And she's like, no, please come with me. And I like that kind of return to those kind of emotional moments that we haven't really gotten in a long time, at least this well written.
This is sort of, to me, Kingdom Hearts' equivalent of the Silmarillions.
Yeah.
That's sort of how I've always kind of looked at it. Yeah, I like the story. I kind of forget some of it, though, because I'm not familiar with it story-wise still.
Well, the weird thing is that the foretellers are kind of the least interesting thing about it.
Yeah, at least for now.
Which is sad. I like some parts of it. I like Master Ava. I like some of the stuff with Lucio. I like the Master of Masters somehow.
Oh, I love him. Oh, I love that guy. He's great. He's kind of I love those kind of characters.
Yeah, he is a lot of fun, and he's a crazy son of a gun.
Someone on Twitter once said, so all of this was Kingdom Hearts was essentially started by Deadpool.
Exactly. It'd be funny if it turned out that he was Deadpool, but
they
anyway.
could do it now.
Well, no, they haven't gotten the rights for all that, but anyway. So the foretellers part is the least interesting of it for me, which is sad because I feel like the people who voice the foretellers are giving it their all and they're doing really good jobs. It's just that I don't really have the grounds to really appreciate them because of how vague a lot of that plot is.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to remember stuff because sort of like it's a player OC kind of a Revan without the coolness of Revan kind of situation.
Yeah. I mean, it
Or
has its own different take that Revan. I mean, your character does partake in the war because he doesn't want to abandon the friends he's made there, and I like that. Um, and I like the Dandelion subplot. I find the Dandelion subplot the most interesting of it. And I really, really like the idea that the Keyblade War was mainly fought by children. I really, really like that. And it's kind of horrifying if you really think about it.
child soldiers in Kingdom Hearts, people. We're going deep.
Yeah, and it makes you, but it also makes a question like, what are the foretellers really after, or what is it the Master of Masters is really after?
If he's after anything.
All we know is that he wants to survive, is that he wants the other world to survive, but we're not given much information beyond that.
Well, I guess here's a good question to start with, Cole. Do you think the Master of Masters is evil?
The thing is, I could very easily say he is, and then people in the comments would provide very good evidence to the contrary. But then I think I could also give evidence to counter that. So the problem is, I think everyone could sling arrows at each other and never really land on a definitive answer because we really haven't hit the points where we can really make that judgment just yet, because there are times where he seems like he's not, but then there are times where we feel like he's got ulterior motives, like maybe he could let them in on more than what he does, but we're never really given much more than that.
If I had to guess, I would put him, if I were to use the good old D&D alignment chart, I'd say right now he's chaotic neutral.
Yeah, I'd say
He's
that
like
pretty much up.
Jack Sparrow a little bit, but I think but honestly not selfish in that way, because
At least,
as far as we know,
at least not that we know of.
like
And that's kind of the hard thing that it takes for it to kind of land down on any particular alignment with the Master of Masters.
the thing for me that always gets me to that scene in Backcover when he's sitting on the grass talking about nature and whatnot,
Yeah,
because like Master Xehanort, he's chaotic evil. I
Yeah.
kind of put them in, or yeah, not chaotic evil. Maybe Vanitas is more. I don't want to get into too much. But Xehanort's sort of like everything he's doing is not part of the natural order. He's trying to take over, rip apart the natural order of.
he's trying to change the natural order.
He's against the circle of life.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what he is. He's against that.
While the Master of Masters, to me, I feel has a better understanding of the circle of life, and in a way just kind of knows what it is about. He just sort of like he understands it, and like I don't think he cares about people per se
No, I don't
in the
think
same
so.
way
Well, that's the
or
other
certain
thing too.
people. I think.
Well, the weird thing too is that I'm not even sure that's the case, because there's a scene in UnionCross that Master Ava makes very clear that says he chose to care about us more than the world.
That's. I think. Well, I think he cares about some people. I don't think it's like Sora.
Well,
though.
but if we're to use the nature thing, that is the world. So if he cares more about them, then that doesn't completely align with that line of thinking. If you see, that's the thing. Joel and I could sit here for the next hour or two trying to go back and forth on the Master of Masters. The thing is, there's evidence to go either way, and we really can't come down on any of it because, like we said, he plays a straight face in anything he does, and that makes it very, very difficult to even know what he's talking about, or to know really what he's going for.
Because it's very hard to tell if he's malicious, like Xehanort, oh yeah, he's evil. He wants to. But him, it's like, are you malicious? Are you just trying to prevent the inevitable, but you're trying to at least keep some people you like alive, or?
Because if we're to think he's trying to go against the inevitable, the problem is then that even goes against the Book of Prophecies, because we know a lot of this is inevitable.
And I think he knows that. I think he knows that a lot of this is going to happen.
Which is weird that he chooses to preserve people over nature. So that's why I'm not sure that's necessarily the case. Maybe the case for him is preserving the people he thinks benefit nature the most, I guess.
I can see that.
But even then, I feel like I'm grasping at something I don't have the straws to even grasp.
I've always, and that's one of those things, like, because the UnionCross story isn't over.
No.
And
it's going to continue even after 3.
Right, and when 4 eventually happens in 20 years, it's like how it's hard to tell how much of UnionCross even going to affect 3.
or even if UnionCross is what comes after, is setting up for 4, maybe.
Which is quite possible given what some of the later stuff that's sadly not in the timeline videos
Yeah, and believe me, we'll get to that.
sets up.
Yeah, we'll get there. I will say I do quite like Ephemer, and I do like Scold.
Which one's Ethimer again? I always forget.
Ephemer's the silver-haired kid.
I want to hear my funny crackpot theory about Ethimer.
What?
What if he grows up to be Yen Sid?
That would actually be pretty hilarious.
I don't know why, just the silver hair.
I never thought of that. Would actually be pretty fun. That would be pretty funny.
Change his name,
but a pretty good cool callback too, and it would we at least give Yen Sid some backstory for the amount of time he's been affiliated with Disney.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And I do like Scold. She's the black-haired Keyblade wielder. I do like her, and I also just set up for later. I don't think she's the traitor that is talked about much later. Anyway.
We'll get to that later. I like the characters. I want to see more of them in their 3D models, though.
Me too. I really want to see School get a 3D model. I love Ephemer's 3D model. I love the enthusiasm that guy has.
Yeah, I want to see more of that. I'm not sure how much 3 will set up for it, but...
Me neither.
Weren't they in the poster for 3, though?
No, they are not in the poster for 3.
Or one of the original concept designs for 3? I remember.
They were along with Ventus, School, and them, but that was just a UnionCross and 3 kind of mashup cover.
Okay. You were going to say something?
Trying to talk about the Keyblade lore, it's gonna be weird because now that we've seen the final battle trailer for 3, and now with Scala entering the mix, then I really question a lot of what the Keyblade lore, if Scala is more after the Keyblade War, or if it was even before it even.
There seems to be very much a pre and post.
Like was Scala ad Kylum a big thing before the Keyblade War? Because the weird thing is, if you look at Scala ad Kylum, a lot of the designs look very...
Yeah? Uh-oh. He went dark. Cole? Cole? Oh dear. Maybe it's me. Uh-oh.
We're back, I'm back.
Okay, good. Phew. Okay, we're still recording.
Oh, thank God. Okay, anyway. So, now that Scala ad Kylum's in the mix, I question if that was before or after the Keyblade War, because if you look at it, the design of Daybreak Town and Scala look very similar to one another.
Right. You know what's weird? Daybreak Town's after the Keyblade, still alive after the Keyblade War, right?
No, I'm pretty sure that the Keyblade Graveyard is Daybreak Town.
But then what is the world we've been in at the post-Keyblade War stuff with Ventus and whatnot?
Good question. Now, we know after that they are at the Keyblade Graveyard.
Right.
We do know that. And we do know you can re-enter the Book of Prophecies to kind of go back to previous stuff. We do know that.
Or one of the Book of Prophecies.
Well, one of them, yeah. So that begs the question, where does Scala fall into that? Was that what the Dandelions built after the war, or was it the Stronghold before? Like, is that maybe where the Master of Masters originates, and maybe he wasn't the sole creator of the Keyblade?
Oh, I don't think he was the sole creator of the Keyblade.
No, I have to believe he came from a much greater order. So maybe Scala is where the Master of Masters originates.
Well, there seems to be this post and pre-Keyblade War stuff in UnionCross, right?
Yeah.
And we're getting the post stuff now. And there seems to be like this big gap between post-Keyblade War and whenever the heck Ventus and Xehanort meet up.
Now, to be fair, we don't know how long after the Keyblade War it takes place, because when you see the Keyblade Graveyard, it looks old. And remember, they were sent forward in time, Joel, in order to survive.
That is true, so
it could not be too far away.
And Ventus is from that era, right? If we believe to be true, Ventus was sent into the future.
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Alright, that makes more sense.
So, It's hard to know just how long between at that time and when birth by sleep takes place, and that's what we still don't know. Now, to be fair, it may be a very short time. It may be an incredibly short time, to tell you the truth, because Larium is still around. So Larium is around at that point, and it looks like he would only need a couple more years for him to become more like Marluxia.
I mean, I guess this is the whole problem with Kingdom Hearts and time. You never know. Like, I would have thought the Keyblade War was hundreds of years ago, not 5 years ago.
Well, it probably was. Well, remember, it probably was, but they got sent way after the war.
So you think... Oh, that's right, because you don't see Marluxia pre-Keyblade War, so he probably...
No. So it could very well be that before that, that Keyblade wielders were probably regarded as myths for quite a long time.
That's interesting. Then you make
unless Scala was somehow around in between then, because we don't know how much of the Keyblade wielders perished in that war.
Well, it has to be because some people have to survive because Ericus and they don't need their Keyblades.
Well, that's what I mean. So
their master, and then their master, and then their master.
If they did not stem from Luxu, then that means someone from that war people from that war had to have survived, unless it was from the Dandelions and they're the ones who continued the generation, which I don't think is the case, just given everyone's age. So I imagine either it was Luxu and he kind of cemented the new masters, or people from the war survived.
I'm sure some people from the war survived. I mean, the Jedi Bird survived, and Time Lord survived from the Time War.
Which it could be around the time Scala came about, and the Keyblade wielders may have been very secluded.
I mean,
because we still don't know where Scala ad Caelum is located. That's the one thing that has not been confirmed.
Unless Luxu was doing some Darth Bane Rule of Two stuff.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, actually, that's the other thing. We should probably talk about Luxu.
He's an enigma. He is secretly Sora incarnate.
But that's the thing. Joel and I thought for a long time, like, what if he's the traitor? But the more I look into it, I'm like, I'm not sure he is.
I'm not even sure he's around.
No. We know his and Master Ava's clash is what triggered the war, but it's never confirmed if he was the traitor, and it's never confirmed who the traitor of the Four Toes actually was.
Who do you think it was?
Luxu seems like too obvious of a choice, and from what we get with him later, I don't think that is the case.
What if there was never a traitor?
And that could be possible. If I had to pick, Gula.
Yes?
Gula.
Oh, which one's Gula?
He's the one with the jaguar mask, or the tiger mask.
Gotcha.
He's the short one.
Is he the one who people think is Brian?
Who might be Brain, yes.
Yeah, Brain. Brain. Yeah.
It could make a little more. Maybe that's the entire reason he was the traitor, because he wanted to survive.
That's possible.
So that might mean, and the funny thing, wouldn't it be funny if it turned out Ventus maybe actually, no, I doubt it, because with Backcover, none of them sound like Ventus. But that might mean that Brain might be Gula. It could be possible. He certainly has the height.
Possible, yeah. I mean, he always wears that hat.
So, and we don't even know really what Gula looks like because of the coat.
That's true, too.
So I don't think Luxu is the traitor. He knows a lot more than everyone else does, because he wasn't entrusted with the normal stuff like everyone else was. He was entrusted for a greater purpose, to make sure things continued on, and that way. And we know he completes his journey because the Master of Masters can actually see into the future.
Right. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
Which is why, because he has Xehanort's Keyblade, the Keyblade which houses the Master of Masters' eye, which, considering it gets passed down, that's as far as the Master of Masters can see.
Interesting. Maybe it's all how far it got passed down. Like, oh, Master, I can work with this.
Well, that's the thing. That's how the Master of Masters know what happens in the future, because that Keyblade continues getting passed down, because, of course, Xehanort has it.
Yeah, so, just to go on some little nitpicks for a second, we be very positive, and I'm glad we are for once. Um,
Yeah.
if I had to choose some Disney worlds that I would have loved to like actually been worlds of the time and not just data, I would have loved Fantasia and Hunchback to have been part of the Cheeverse.
Yeah. Now, I get why they weren't. But I think Fantasia would have been a great. I think honestly, Fantasia would have been the best one to add. To be completely honest.
Make the Chernobog the key to the Keyblade War. Um, I
Um,
don't know why I want Hunchback. I just feel like that aesthetic.
See, I don't think for the tone we're going for, I don't think Hunchback would work quite as well. I like Fantasia in it more than I do Hunchback. I feel like Hunchback works a bit later, especially more towards 3, because I feel like that kind of comes across more in terms of its tone. And actually that's part of my reason with Hunchback being a problem and Dream Drop Distance is because with the tone of what Dream Drop Distance is trying to go for and Hunchback, it doesn't quite mesh too well.
Maybe.
Anyway, if I had to give some criticisms to UnionCross in general, I don't like the vagueness of it all. I wish we had more to go on.
Maybe I can get why though. They probably 3 and
Well, that's the thing. It's going to be a major issue if a lot of that really isn't played out in 3.
I mean, I also get that you probably don't want to necessarily define what the Keyblade War is because, like,
Well, I mean, at least give us a little more to go on. I feel like at some point we have to know what the Master of Masters endgame was.
oh no, I get that. I mean, like,
And like I said, if that is remaining vague even in the endgame, then I'm going to be like, no, that is actually a big, big issue.
I'm
Because that means the events of 3 hinge on a plan that we don't know much about.
I mean, that's the thing. Is like how I mean, I mean, they're writing backwards here, people.
And that's the other issue is that if 3 doesn't answer a lot of this, then then we are going to have issues, but we don't have 3 yet to really confirm that.
We know that some of it's coming though because we see the little.
We know some of it has to because of the black box.
And the little Dream Eater guy.
Yeah, Cherthy, yeah.
Yeah, so he's kind of there, so that means something. I mean, I don't know how resolved I need it to be, because, like...
Well, at least the stuff that Master of Masters was going on and on about.
Yeah, like the Sora meet the Master of Masters at the end of the game.
Well, I don't know, or at least we get an idea of what it was supposed to be. Now, the post-Keyblade War stuff, that probably could continue on until 4. However, the foreteller stuff, I don't know, because honestly, the foreteller stuff is kind of done at this point, until we really learn what the Master of Masters was really going for.
Well, I mean, I guess now we can talk a little bit more about this, like the girl who got murdered and Marluxia.
Oh God. Okay.
Like I'm sure that stuff could probably go into Kingdom Hearts 4.
I'm pretty sure it probably is going to go into Kingdom Hearts 4. So it's amazing to me that the most meta thing Nomura has ever done has make us suspect ourselves of killing a major character in the story.
Yeah. Your character could have been the one who killed the Marluxia's sister.
Yeah, Strelitzia, yeah.
I don't think so, but...
I don't know. I do not think Lauriam was the one who killed his own sister. For one, I don't know what motive he would have in doing it.
I didn't say Lauriam, I just said I didn't think our character did it.
Well, that's it. Well, yeah, I don't think our character did it. I don't think Lauriam did it either.
So far, the two have always been, for me, Brain, and Ventus.
Yeah, I think they're the two likely. I don't think Skuld and Ephemer did it, and I sure as hell don't think Lauriam did it for a couple of reasons. A lot of people saying maybe he's playing it cool, but I'm like, yeah, but if you're in the data world where presumably other people can see you, why let it on that you're investigating certain things? And also, why let us into his thoughts when he's like, okay, so she probably didn't kill her, then who did? Why would Nomura open us up to his thoughts? To deceive who?
Right. And Ventus is a bit of a stretch, but a stretch I could buy if done well.
I think Brain's probably likely to be the killer.
Unless, and of course, there's the whole what is the context of said murder?
Yeah, that's the other thing. We don't know who exactly it was. We have
or
a
why
shadow.
they did it.
I remember someone saying the silhouette kind of looked like Lorium, but then I've heard cases to the contrary. So I don't know.
I mean, Lorium and Brian got that kind of same hairdo.
That is true. That is true.
And of course, again, the context of why was there murder in the first place?
Well, we know the reason she was murdered was so whoever got her book could continue into the other world.
Right.
That was the reason because it stated whoever killed her took her book of prophecies.
Right. Okay. So maybe it is just Kingdom Hearts 4 Brian's the villain and we just find out he just wanted to live. Dang it. I want to live.
That could actually be really interesting. And I kind of like that Lorium hopefully is not the killer because I find it a little more interesting that the events later screwed him up in ways that we didn't even realize.
Yeah.
And I also looked at the stuff with Elrina, which is Lark seeing somebody. She is not a complete psychopath at the beginning. She's a brat, but not a psycho.
Yeah, she's kind of what you expect a little girl.
Yeah, which is interesting because that means something has to happen with her to make her become pretty much unhinged.
It's sort of funny how we were saying Brian did it because in my fanfic like a lot. I actually do make it Ventus, but it's not Ventus because it's Bill Cipher who controlling Ventus does it, and like a bunch of stuff. I have some big ideas for how to use this in my fic people. But that's beside the point. How much of the Keyblade War Code do you think we need to define? Like, do we need...
The war itself, nothing. The motives, yes. The war, no. Because the actual timeline, we see bits of the Keyblade War, and what we get there is actually pretty tragic. I mean, you see your character fight some of the masters.
Right, like, I don't think... I'm going to rethink some of the Keyblade War idea because I want to do my whole thing where it's like the final battle was about the Chernobog the whole time.
But the war itself, I don't think we don't need to fully see the war animated. The motives and why it happened, I think, do need to be at least engorged upon.
Do you think the war ended with a whimper instead of a bang?
Considering how the actual world itself looks, I'd say a bang.
No, that's not what I mean at all. I mean, like, I'll use my fanfic example just sort of as a sort of a general mean. Like, the final battle was the dark forces unleashed the evil Chernobog who wanted to take over the world.
No.
Or it's like more like, we just got tired and we just...
No, I imagine the war, it was probably a really bloody war, and it wasn't just an all-out battle. I imagine, well, it was... It lasted a while, but it lasted with just the remaining Keyblade wielders either killing each other or going into hiding because they realized there was nothing more to gain.
Sounds like some of the Jedi Sith war of old.
Because if you were think of it this: if you were a Keyblade wielder and you were looking at the world that had been annihilated because of the war, with the Keyblades littered across the field, lifeless with no wielders to hold them. What do you really have to gain from fighting any longer?
That's true. It might be the Time War from Doctor Who. Back before.
I think the Keyblade, I'm going to say the Keyblade just to avoid confusing anybody. When I believe the Keyblade was summoned, and I imagine that being summoned led into the new world. However that works.
Do you think they'll elevate Ventus in the Keyblade War, like make him the grand hero of that era?
No.
So there's like no Sora equivalent here.
No, I don't. And actually,
or a Revan, or a
no.
Exile,
and I think for the war's sake, I think there doesn't need to be.
Okay.
Because I feel like it works a lot better. Just the fact that these Keyblade wielders aligned with people that they thought they were doing right, and they ended up dying because in the end, no one was ever truly right because they really didn't know the truth.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Because think about it. If there was a hero, that at least would have to indicate that hero did indeed lose. So in the end, what is the point of having that hero?
Tragic Tragic heroism.
Yeah, but even then, at that point, and if other people continued fighting it, then even then it really wouldn't mean much.
That's true. Um,
Otherwise, we would have heard about like a great hero of the war, and that has never been how it's played. So I imagine it was just an all-out war that just basically ended in stalemate because of all the lives and the destruction that it caused.
unless you do the Doctor Who thing where the Doctor destroyed Gallifrey until it got retconned later. Sort of like just I'm blowing up everybody. You're all screwed.
And considering how the Master of Masters talked, that doesn't seem like the case at all. He made it sound like it was going to be a long, bloody war.
Yeah, it's the Time War, definitely from Doctor Who for Doctor Who.
And one in which a lot of children lost their lives because of it.
Yeah.
And like Kyrie's grandmother said, but the remaining children found the light again, and those children let the light continue on.
It's funny how they say the children were the ones who died, because the original story, it seemed like the adults were more the problem.
To be fair, more children, by extension, children fought, then new children would come.
That's true. Must have been a lot of war pregnancies. Oh my.
Well, no, I'm not even talking that they grew up and then, yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, if you were doing that during the war, then even then you kind of thematically that wouldn't quite work. Because if that children were tainted by the darkness, then that means the newer generation would have perpetuated more light.
Yeah. I think one of my big qualms with UnionCross it's in a mobile game and not 3D. I want to see some of that 3D stuff, man.
See, the thing is, I'm kind of glad we don't. Because I feel like the more you try to elevate the war itself, the less impactful it's going to be. I feel like it's more impactful when we're dealing with certain characters like our player and the friends he's made, as opposed to a bunch of people that we know have to die and will not carry on.
Hey, that can still work for Rogue One.
Well, I mean, not in a sense of... I guess it could, but actually, no, I can't even agree with that, Joel. And for one reason.
Why?
For one, we're dealing with the underdogs in Rogue One.
You can still deal with underdogs who lose. It's just a very sad,
That's how I mean.
story.
In Rogue One, you're dealing with the underdogs, and it works. You could deal with the underdogs, but there's one big issue with that. We are not really focusing on the underdogs in UnionCross. We're dealing with the foretellers, and if you want to try to tell me that the other players are really the underdogs, that you're really going to fight like hell to have to try to make me buy that, considering really the only ones who are really important are the player, school, and Ephemer.
That's true.
So really, that really wouldn't work, because we know just from what this game has set up how they fight. They want to keep the light for themselves, so they turn on each other.
That's true.
It isn't a clear-cut good versus bad war. It's more of a, they all kind of fell to the darkness because they got greedy, and thus the Keyblade War happened, and it ended in a long and very, very bloody war.
True.
So at that point, everyone, if you had any underdog story in this, it wouldn't quite work, because there is really no definitive bad guy, which another indication of what we would need to know the Master of Masters' real plan to ever really work, because then we'd have context on what the real good and bad would have been.
Right, and I can't see Kingdom Hearts going just completely morally gray. No, I think not with Disney.
No, so
this ain't Final Fantasy. I mean,
no.
Or at least certain Final Fantasy. I don't know. Well, there has to be a villain.
That's why I'm saying I do not think we will get that. We will ever get the Keyblade War
proper
in a greater context, and I feel like it's a good thing that we don't. Because even Kyrie's grandmother said everyone fought for the light.
Yeah.
They wanted to keep it for themselves.
Yeah.
So we know that everyone who stayed behind, except for, I guess, our player, that the Keyblade War was basically a battle for greed that maybe could have been subverted if more had been let on. But that's the thing, we don't know. And that's, like I said, if we learn anything about the Keyblade War, I think we need to learn exactly why it had to happen. Like, why other people didn't take measures on the contrary.
Do you think the Master of Masters is going for a Noah's Ark situation here?
That's probably exactly what he's going for.
For anyone who don't know, Noah's Ark story of God flooding the earth because human got schmucky and got to start over.
Yeah. Though the question is why here, and that's it. And the thing, but the context of Noah's Ark is God decreed that humanity had become too flawed and it had to start over.
The Master of Masters is God. I mean, he sees into the future so much.
Well, no. I would say that more so. I would say the Master of Masters is more or less Noah in this scenario because he realizes what has to happen. So if that's the case, then I guess the only thing you could really point to is Kingdom Hearts itself.
Right. Kingdom Hearts kind of got. Now, here's the question: is the Master of Masters one of those guys who's doing this because he is like Noah? And we're using so many biblical terms. I feel really bad. In a sense that this has to happen, or is he like one of those crazy anime guys who's like, the world is corrupt, we gotta destroy it?
And I don't know. That's the thing. I could go.
Is he Ra's al Ghul?
That's the thing. I could go all day and point to those, but I can't say because we don't have enough to go on.
Yeah, like it could go either way. I kind of don't want the Master of Masters to be bad.
Me neither. I would rather him stay a true neutral in that regard.
Neutral leaning good.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if he saw Xehanort, he's like, Xehanort, you're crazy. You're evil. You do bad. This is not right.
Because he knows about the battle that happens at the end of 3. He knows it has to happen.
Right.
But that would also, by extension, mean it happened because of his doing. Because again, that Keyblade got passed on to Xehanort.
That's true.
It would be. You know what would be funny, Joel?
What?
If the whole reason is because he wanted to ensure the future stayed going, but one of the reasons the future is in jeopardy is because he wanted to ensure it stayed.
Well, that's kind of what happens sometimes.
Could kind of be a cool concept. Like maybe he cared about it too much to the point where it screwed over a lot of people.
That's possible. Do you think? I'm gonna hate using this. Do you think it? That reminds me of the ending of Sword Art Online with that one guy, except without the finding out that Bethesda was the reason for all. Well, that's what we find out. Bethesda.
You mean without the actual decent SAO abridged good reason for why he actually did what he did?
Yeah.
It could align with the abridged. I don't think it'll align with SAO. If it aligns with SAO, I think that's a major issue. Because remember, the reason we're given, and I kid you not, for why Kayaba did everything he did in Sword Art Online, he says, I honestly can't remember.
Oh, that's right. Of course, then in the Kingdom Hearts, we're going to find out the Master of Masters like, it was Bethesda. Blame Bethesda for all this.
Well, considering all the bullshit Bethesda's been doing recently, I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
I kid Bethesda. No, I don't. You've been doing a lot of bad stuff. Get your shit together. Anyways.
His foot and find out it's Deadpool, and it's like, I was doing it for the lols. I wanted some chimichangas.
Or that he removes his head. It's Todd Howard of who made Skyrim and Fallout 76. And he says, it just works.
Just works. I mean, maybe. I mean, who's to say after the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, Sora and the Master Masters meet for the first time? He's like, well, this went exactly as I hoped. Good job. That
would be actually hilarious. What if it's just Sora just sitting at the end of the battlefield and Master says, well, this went exactly as planned. And Sora's like, who the hell are you? He's like, let me tell you a tale, a fairy tale.
No, like, kid, I got some stories to tell you.
Anyway, it's funny because it's also funny because the Master of Masters is voiced by the guy who voiced Noctis in Final Fantasy 15, the main character of Final Fantasy 15.
Maybe it's Noctis.
That would be hilarious. I don't think if that's the case, then Noctis really went crazy. Anyways.
But yeah. Let's see. I guess one critique we have to at least lobby is the fact that UnionCross kind of became essentially Square's microtransactions.
Yeah, that exactly. And that was part of my reason for not playing it for so long.
I just watched the video. I wasn't never going to play it.
I didn't care enough to really buy into that and wait so long to have to play it that much to get further and just do pointless quest upon quest within worlds that don't really exist.
One of my big, although Gaston was in it, finally got Gaston in
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts.
weirdly enough, which is weird considering that's a data world and he does not exist in the real world.
No one exists in the real world like Gaston.
No one is absent from games like Gaston. No one conceives of things like Gaston.
He's awesome, and because he's in data form. That's why he's Data Gaston. Dun dun dun.
Oh, what a guy.
Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh,
Bless you.
thank you.
Anyway.
Anywho, what am I?
Actually,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
another thing we probably should talk about, because this is a thing, that big thing, and this is a thing in Backcover, and is very much going to be a big part of Kingdom Hearts 3. What the fuck is in the black box?
What's in the box? I have no idea. I guess goes into another thing, tie-in. Let's talk about our favorite mistress of all evil herself, Maleficent.
Yeah.
And what the heck is she doing here?
We
And
know
this ain't Maleficent. This is the real deal.
Yeah, this is real Maleficent. So, we know in 3 she is after the black box.
In the box.
And that's the thing. We don't know why she's after it. We know the organization is after it too. So again, that I have to buy that. I guess Xehanort had to have told her something. Otherwise, I don't know how the hell she knows about it.
I will say no total how to travel back in time. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the whole darkness thing, and who the heck that is? Could be Brain.
Who the hell basically put her in check to the point where he's like, you can't help us, but not right now. You'll be doing more harm than good.
Bill Cipher.
But that's the question. Who is it and why are they doing this?
It could be Brain. It could be Strelitza herself, and she was.
I lean more towards it being someone we know.
You mean in terms of UnionCross or in terms of Kingdom?
Someone we've seen in the games in general. And it would have to have been someone that, if Maleficent sees who this is, could very easily, for whatever, that's the thing.
It's Riku.
Well, I know, oh Lord. The thing is, they're keeping their presence hidden from her. Meaning, if she found out who this is, it could cause issues, because then why hide your presence?
Maybe it's Repliku. Maybe Repliku decides. Maybe Repliku lives and he decides to go full on. Like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to be a bad guy.
I don't think so, because then why would he hide his presence from her? Because that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Remember, Repliku and Maleficent have never, Repliku and Maleficent have never interacted.
Yeah, I think Repliku's smart enough to know if I show my face, she could kill me because she knows who I am.
Well, no, not even then. She'd probably be like, what the hell are you after? And I would imagine if he could put her in check, then he really wouldn't need to hide his presence.
Well, who are characters who would need to hide their presence?
The only people I can think are people who either someone in the 13 or someone that the Book of Prophecies does not necessarily know about.
Could it be our character?
I don't know.
No,
it could be Strelitzia.
But why would Strelitzia need to hide herself? She doesn't know.
Think about this. Mm-hmm. We've been asking the questions, who killed Strelitzia? But that's the thing. What do we really know about Strelitzia?
She's a girl.
Well, in that she's supposedly kind. From the little limited information we've gotten from her, we've also known she's been around the player quite a bit. So, meaning her death would easily stir suspicion. What if that was her motive?
Possible, but what is her?
What if she isn't as good as we think she is?
I mean, that'd be cool. I mean, she is Marluxia's sister.
What if she isn't like the good sweetheart that we think she is? What if she is one of the perpetrators of what happens?
That's possible.
What, or better? Wait, whoa! There's another female member in the
organization.
Yeah. There's another female member in the Foretellers.
Which one? The one that kind of reminds me of Aqua, or the one who looks like Kyrie?
The one, Aqua.
Okay.
So there's still the suspicion she could very well. I mean, who's to say at this point? I mean, Strelitzia could very easily be one of the Foretellers.
Yeah, it's
And
possible.
if that's the case, her trying to start. I mean, we still don't know who the traitor is either.
Right. I mean,
So
it could be Streletsky, it could be Brain, could be.
I don't think it's Ventus.
I wish it were Ventus, but yeah.
If it
Um,
were, then it would make more sense for it to be Vanitas.
and Venise is not around, at least not yet.
Or at least not in the time, or at least we don't know exactly. And if that's the case, why would he hide his presence from her?
That's true. Venise and Maleficent don't have a beef.
And why would Ventus hide his presence from her? Especially because I imagine in 3 out of time, if Ventus does turn out to be belly up evil, then why the hell? Why would he keep his presence if that is supposedly a known thing?
True.
That's why I don't think it's Lorium, and I don't think it's Elrina either. It would be funny if it was Zigbar.
I mean, Zigbar I can see having a presence at post 3.
I mean, I could buy Zigbar doing it, and him keeping his presence unknown from Maleficent would make a little bit more sense. Because if he's
Isa
supposed to
makes
be
more
Xehanort's
sense.
right-hand man,
Yeah. Although, to be frank, Isa makes more sense to keep his presence away.
true, it could very well be Isa.
Especially after 2. Isa and Maleficent kind of had a. They didn't do much with it, but it's still kind of like,
It
there's
could
some
very well be
rivalry.
Isa, yeah, it could be.
There was a thing. Not romantically, just sort of like Isa was always there every time he
And
put
we
her
know
down.
Isa has a big foothold in 3. We've seen a lot more of them.
Oh yeah, he's kind of number 2 or number 3, I guess.
I don't think it would be Ansem. I don't think it would be Zemnis.
They should be dead by that point. After
No, I
3.
think I think 3 is going to take them out entirely.
All
What
the
if it's
North.
Ansem? Joel? What if it's Ansem the Wise?
No, I can't see it be Ansem the Wise. I think they're gonna be done with him after 3. I think he's. I don't even think he's a villain, to be quite fair.
No, but I think he's definitely a lot more morally questionable than I think we realized.
Morally questionable, but I feel like he's
I
trying
don't
to
think
right the wrongs.
Yeah. And plus, we don't know just how much he factors in. We know he's done a lot of bad stuff. He may even have access to a book of prophecies.
I think whoever's doing it is a bad person.
I think so too.
They're either. Okay, here's the big thing. How much of UnionCross is set up for 3? How much of it is set up for 4? If
And
there's
that's
a
the
4,
question.
and how much of it was written before? Because 3 had to be done for a while, right? And I don't know how
Yeah,
the production.
3 at the very least had to have had a lot of its stuff taken care of even before a lot of this came out. Especially the post Keyblade War stuff.
Right. So the scripts we have to also think of production. We have to factor production into it. We have to think of when the script was finalized and recorded. We have to.
It could be Marluxia.
No, I don't think it's Marluxia though.
Well, then again, remember though, this is Marluxia we see in 3 is the Marluxia we've known, not Lorium.
That's true.
So him trying to play his cards safe actually could make some sense.
Possibly. We also
Himself surviving the events of 3 makes sense from his perspective.
Oh yeah, him, Vanitas, Bragg, maybe Isa, depending.
I think Bragg does survive, and I think I'm pretty sure. I hope like hell Marluxia survives 3.
I think so too. Him and Vanitas are the 2 I really want to survive.
I kind of want Larxene to kind of continue on too for whatever. Actually, considering what we see from her in UnionCross, I think she probably will as well.
I've always seen like Marluxia and Larxene are kind of like this duo kind of thing going on.
It's especially interesting considering I assume they're not going to kill Lee.
No, Axel's too popular.
I highly doubt they're going to kill Lee.
I highly doubt they're gonna kill anyone. Quite honest. Like,
Well, they'll Thanos it and then they'll undo it.
yeah, like I mean, we've already kind of know this already, Cole. We kind of see everyone get taken out at the final.
Gotta see, and then Scala happens, and then where we go from there.
And then everyone kind of probably comes back by the end. That's my guess. But again, Cole, it's sort of like, when was this stuff written? Like, when was the UnionCross stuff written in conjunction with 3? When was 3 done? And then all the stuff was the post-Keyblade War UnionCross stuff written as well.
And that's the hard thing to think, because we really don't know.
It's sort of like animation, and sort of like how, Rebels was written a year before Last Jedi, even though it connects, at least thematically.
we at least know Nomura has stated UnionCross continues after 3, so I imagine some of this had to have been written pretty recently.
Right. I mean, these are smaller games, so they don't probably take as much time as say 3, which is the Juggernaut.
Yeah, so that would mean that some of this is going to be set up for 4, and that's why I think Larium and the Marluxia stuff I think continues on into 4.
I think this is my. I need water. My bet is everything pre 2 Keyblade War will affect 3.
Yes,
Everything post Keyblade War, that's set up for the next game.
Agreed.
Now the Maleficent stuff probably factors in a little bit, but who knows?
I would imagine it impacts the plot, and I imagine she continues on into 4.
Oh, I don't think they'll kill off Maleficent. I think she's going to be like...
No.
She's probably like your staple. We need at least one Disney villain to kind of...
And we need the one that's the most popular, so of course keep Maleficent.
Yeah. So that's my guess.
To be fair, her going for a Book of Prophecies later on wouldn't be a bad idea.
I mean, isn't she already looking for one right now? So
technically, unless there's something else in the black box. I mean, who knows what the hell's in that thing?
It's funny also how UnionCross kind of elevates Coded and Burst by Sleep quite a bit.
Yeah, Burst by Sleep especially.
Right. That's where this all starts.
Yeah.
Well, technically more in 2, but
Yeah.
Do you think Cole? We did 2 a while back. Did it ever come off to you that Xehanort might have been originally intended to be part of the Keyblade War era?
Maybe. It's possible.
For some reason, I always used to think he was. Like, I always thought...
Well, considering the secret ending we get at the end of 2 in the English release, maybe. I don't know if that's present in the original 2 Japanese release. It may not have been. If it was, then probably.
I feel like that got retconned, though. I don't think he's part of that era anymore.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say?
Well, bear in mind, Joel. Remember, bear in mind, people. Birth by Sleep went through quite a few developmental changes and probably quite a few story changes as well.
Probably.
Just based on previous cutscenes we had that aren't in the game.
Right. The Heartless and Burks by UnionCross are Heartless, right? They're not data or anything.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I sort of take it as I've always had this thing, like, Heartless have always been a thing. It's just it didn't become a bigger problem until Ansem started screwing around.
Well, to be fair, remember, it's more likely because, remember, they're getting greedy. They're going for the light. Therefore, people fall to the darkness, as is said that does happen in UnionCross. So, therefore, Heartless.
And we do see a lot of pureblood Heartless, who are supposed to be natural. Emblem Heartless come later.
Yeah, so that probably very much means that a lot of the Heartless we fight are probably fallen Keyblade wielders.
Right. What else is there to talk about?
There's a lot, but we've danced over.
What have we missed, Cole? What have we missed?
I'll say this. Oddly enough, I like Larium.
Oh yeah, I like his design. I've seen a lot of cool fan art.
I also kind of like his character.
Yeah, I like him quite a bit. I like more than Marluxia.
Yeah, which is interesting because that does mean that if he really is playing it straight, that means at some point he had to have become so screwed up that he became Marluxia.
Yeah.
And I imagine it goes to whoever the hell killed his sister.
Oh, definitely.
I like Ephemer and I like Skull. I like how the whole people interact.
It's funny how this game is building its own little universe. I just worry it will overlap a little too much.
I'm at least into 3 in places where I think it shouldn't. I think a lot more of this stuff is better suited for stuff like 4.
In a sense, although 3 is, Xehanort's whole shtick is about the Keyblade War. That is always...
Well, post Keyblade War, a lot of that stuff I think needs to be saved till 4. I think doing all that stuff then and trying to... I think if you start trying to bring Who Killed Strelitzia into 3, you're really going to start, really, really confusing people.
Oh, yeah.
I get people. We're in a world where multimedia universes are a thing. I get that. The problem is the majority of newcomers are not going to have played UnionCross.
That's always been something I've been thinking about too. Is like, how do you integrate UnionCross into 3? Like
exactly.
Especially,
so that would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would basically mean a lot of it would have to be set up before you really even put it in 3. So that means you would wait till 4 to put it in.
Well, I mean, you can do the pre-Keyblade War, pre and post.
Well, yeah, but I mean post.
I think I think that has to be the dividing line because that little episode was such a definitive one. It felt like okay, this is one season down. This is the next season. This is season 2.
Yeah, I think pre Keyblade War 3, post, and on 4 and on.
Right. Although that's kind of second. Now it's like, oh, I mean, Maleficent won't have a big role anymore.
Well, not that we know of.
That's true.
That she very easily could get a bigger role, and we don't. And that's the other thing. We don't know how the battle in 3 necessarily plays out.
Do you think maybe Maleficent does? Maybe Maleficent lost. No, because they do say Maleficent lost her heart in 1. That's the one when she time traveled.
Yeah, but we know she's trying to change her fate, and whoever's got her cornered says there is another way. So that means she's going to have a purpose.
Maybe we find
and
out.
Probably is going to continue on after 3.
Do you think maybe we find out what that fate was in 3? Maybe that's the fate she's talking about.
I imagine, probably, yeah.
Maybe Xehanort does something to her. It's like you think you stop trying to be the main villain of this series.
It would actually be funny, Joel, if Xehanort actually does try to offer and says you have become a shell of what you once were, and you are useless to me now. So that is her fate, and then what we see in UnionCross is her trying to change that and her actually getting enough power to kind of have a presence again. That actually could kind of be cool.
Like, I bet like all Disney fans would be like, oh no, you did not just say that to the Mistress of all evil. Oh, no,
which is funny because it's like, it's like the Xehanort saying, you've been pathetic for the last few games. Step it up, come on, or I'm going to kill you.
I'm the main villain of this series.
That would be hilarious.
Oh man, I can't wait because it's sort of like I got a lot of ideas for my own fanfic revolving Bill Cipher and the Chernobog idea I've had. That's sort of like where you do it, right? Like that's like if you wanted like evil, ancient evil, that's where you put them.
I don't know because, like I said, a lot of what we get in UnionCross is still pretty vague.
That's true.
We have to bear in mind the Foretellers plot is still pretty damn vague.
I hope they do a Doctor Who thing where it's always vague, but they always make the Keyblade War sound like this apocalyptic place. Like, okay, so Doctor Who, there's this thing called the Time War, and it's this big battle between 2 ultimate races, the Time Lords and the Daleks. And they're kind of both morally gray, and they essentially both become, like, evil by the end, because they're both just insane from all the war. Except for the Doctor, who, like, he's the hero, because he's the Doctor, he's our hero. Well, no, there's some morally gray of him, too. And the Doctor's always talking about the Time War, and he's like, like, I was there when the Nightmare Child and the great dark demons and the wannabe king with the army of Miwas and never-wers, and, it's very apocalyptic sounding.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how it's played. The thing is, it was more people just following what they thought was right just to get what they wanted. But the thing is, I think in spite of that, the leaders who eventually made that have been never really thought to question exactly why it was happening.
Here's a question.
Why does this war have to take place? And that's what I think needs to be answered to set up, especially for Sora going forward. He's like, why did the Keyblade War happen? What caused it to go down that made it inevitable?
It's definitely a thing I think you can play with after Xehanort's defeated. Like, okay, we defeated the bad guy. Now, why did he try to do this?
Exactly. Why was it that this had to happen?
And then here's a question.
That's what I mean about breaking some of this vagueness up.
Here's another vague question I've never understood. Is the Keyblade War, are there armies, or are there just every Keyblade War for himself? Warrior for himself?
The way it's almost played is that it's a unions fighting against each other.
So there's like 5 different factions, or 20.
5 factions basically fighting for control of light to keep the light for themselves.
That's true.
So if that's the case, but again, why? That's the big question. Why?
I mean, I just kind of always interpreted it as they just want power, because power cool.
Well, I get that they want it, but why did the Foretellers let this happen? Supposedly, if not all of them were traitors, why did they let that happen? What was the end game, and why did this have to set an example? Or were they pawns to set an example?
Maybe Maybe they just let it get out of hand.
Well, the thing is, the foretellers were basically just following orders.
Yeah,
The Master of Masters orders.
that's true. Maybe the master. Well, and then what's the master masters again? Maybe it's the Noah's Ark
Exactly.
thing. It's the Noah's Ark thing. Maybe it's like, look, I know this sucks, but you guys are gotten way out of hand. Well,
Exactly. But
that's
the thing is,
then again, that's sort of. But then there's some scary questions of like.
and then the thing is, he's the one who trained them too.
Although this has some scary questions about genocide. Like,
And that also questions why, if he's the one who trained them, why did they have to die?
now I kind of want the Master to be villain. It's like, dude, you're just committing genocide. You're Thanos thinking this here.
Well, the thing is too, and the thing is, clearly he didn't teach all of them well enough, considering one of them turned traitor.
That's true. Like, here's I guess there's some implications here. Either the Masters is pro-genocide, and we got a lot of and then that means
You know what's sad, Joel?
what?
Master of Masters is playing the genocide card a lot better than Superman Dead and Man of Steel. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah, it's still not good.
It's still not good, but at least Nomura at that point I hope would be making the Master of Masters out to be the villain, whereas they try to make Superman kind of the hero in that regard.
Yeah, and he needs to get called out on it by Sora.
Exactly. That's the thing. I need some of this answer because that begs the question, why did this happen?
Right.
Because something doesn't add up here.
Yeah, and I don't think I want to, and I definitely think we should not promote people who promote genocide.
No.
Like Thanos is wrong, people. Thanos is wrong. He does not.
Yeah, Thanos was wrong, people. He was wrong.
You're wrong.
He thought he was doing good. He was wrong.
Same with you, Masters. If this is your plan, even though it's hard to tell.
He had the all-powerful gauntlet. There are other ways he could have ended it.
Double the resources of planets.
That's the thing. And the thing is, if he was not pro-genocide, then he clearly didn't teach them well enough either. Because again, one of them turned traitor.
I mean, I rather would have that at least because the Masters is becoming very OP. I mean, which is fine. You can have OP characters. It's always fun.
And the thing is, that would actually mean that even then he's not all powerful because at that point he thinks it's going to happen because even then he realizes, I guess he's flawed and that he can't really, even upon his instruction, that I guess that desire to live is going to turn one of them traitor, I guess.
Or because he saw the future, maybe he just thought the future was set in stone and decided, you know what, I can't do anything. Just let it happen.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Why would that be the case? Especially the big thing Xehanort goes on and on about in Dream Drop Distance is paradox.
Well, time travel is already weird in this series, so
that's the thing. If that was really a problem, why is he not talking about this? Like, that's the questions I need to know. Like, why did this have to occur? That's what I don't get.
Boy,
especially if paradox are in the question, like, I really question what the Master of Masters' motives here were.
You know what I want to see, Cole, and this is just going to add more convolutions, I know, but you know what, I've thought about doing this in my own fanfic too. Just have Sora and the gang go back in time to that era.
I would too. I would love that, to be quite honest.
Although I got this whole idea where Bill Cipher goes back, takes control of himself, and sort of like now he has the future so he can do his big plan, destroy the universe.
What if the cliffhanger at the end of 3 is that they actually live, but they get sent back to around the time of the Keyblade, around that time?
I don't know how I feel because I'm very hesitant about cliffhangers in general for 3.
I am too, but that's something I would not necessarily put past Nomura.
If it's that, I'm more okay with it. I would rather have that be like a secret ending kind of thing.
Me too, and that's the thing. Remember what Nomura said? He said the final battle, he said the epilogue and the secret ending are the two biggest spoilers in 3.
And thankfully, the secret ending comes later.
And the epilogue and the secret ending are being released on opening day. He made sure not to include them because, of course, leaks.
Oh, good, smart on him. So, as much as I hate, I don't want to say I hate time travel. I like time travel. Time travel can be fun.
The problem with time travel in general is it becomes a writer's crux, a very lazy one at that.
But it can be done interesting. Like, you know,
it can be done interesting, but the problem is Nomura has a history of not doing it too well.
I think it needs to be time travel in the same vein of going to Timeless River, but taking it far more seriously.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like, Timeless River, you're just going to cartoon land, like la la la. Here you're going back to the Keyblade War, and either one of two things is going to happen. Either Sora stops the Keyblade War, kind of, or he causes it by accident.
I hope neither of those things happen, mind you. I think it would be interesting if at that time he at least interacts with the Master of Masters. And maybe it's with him interacting with the Master of Masters that kind of sets some of that plan in stone.
But then again, that still makes the Masters pro-genocide, and I don't want to have that deal with that.
Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
That's true. But like,
because the question is, how much does Sora let on to the Master of Masters? That's the bigger question.
That's true. You know what it reminds me of? If they did this, this reminds me of the final season of Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, so let me give you some backstory, Cole. So the whole arc of Yu-Gi-Oh is learn the pharaoh's memories, because the Yugi has the spirit of an ancient pharaoh who defeated the evil darkness a gazillion years ago. Yeah. 5,000 in the anime, 3,000 in the manga, but
Okay.
So final season, the final arc, after a whole bunch of arcs that sometimes have to deal with the main story, sometimes don't, is essentially the pharaoh goes back in time and pretty much is going to relive his events of his past when he defeated that evil darkness. However, his arch rival, Bakura, who is also the evil darkness, goes back in time with him and sort of takes control of his former persona in the past.
Oh, God, Joel, you just gave me a really, really scary thought.
No, this was a cool season. This is my favorite season of Yu-Gi-Oh!
No, I get that. But think of it this. What if the Master of Masters is Sora?
I've thought about that.
What if Sora goes back in time, becomes the Master of Masters, and yeah. Think about that for a minute.
I don't think
I hope they don't do that, because if that's the case, that's setting up a very big cliffhanger for 3 that I hope like hell they don't do. And that by extension also means in a way Sora's responsible for Xehanort
and genocide.
Yeah,
that's some character.
That's the way I think you could jump the shark. That would be. I think that is probably the only way you could really nail Kingdom Hearts in the ground, is doing that. You take the character that is kind of this moral good center that we followed for so long, and then he turns out to be the guy who ends up screwing over everything and causing the main villain and genocide and children dying.
I feel like if that had happened, we would have heard about it by now from some of those people. I feel like there'd be more Kingdom Hearts is dead to me kind of scenarios coming out. Unless that one guy we listened to just didn't know, or didn't get that far, but I don't know.
Well, that's more. Remember, Joel, a lot of the epilogue and secret ending apparently have not been released. And remember, if he kept it out and it requires an update, there's no way they could have it.
That's fair. But, Okay.
Like how big is the epilogue and secret ending going to be?
I just thought it'd be a cutscene. Unless we're
That's the thing. But remember, Nomura has said that both of these are the most massive spoilers in the game.
Not unless there's like the epilogue is like a whole game within a game, and we go.
It could be. The epilogue could very well be a portion of the final battle.
Ooh, I don't know. Ooh, I'm scared now. I'm scared.
Like, because that's the thing. He has touted up that the epilogue and the secret ending are the biggest spoilers in this game. And when he said that, I'm like, what does that mean? I think at the very least that means there's going to be a shift to the status quo. I don't know what that is.
If Sora is the Master of Masters, something really bad must have had to happen to him to make him start thinking these weird things. Which actually I would not be entirely opposed to. I kind of want to see Sora go through a Luke Skywalker phase myself. But I don't know.
Whoa.
It's King Mickey, right? It's Mickey.
No, Joel, I didn't even think about this. Maybe what if the reason we don't see the Master of Masters
is he's fat?
No, because Sora went back to his main time. He lost his heart. Remember, Sora lost his heart. He technically can go back in time.
Didn't I ask you this once and you weren't sure?
Well, remember, he technically lost his heart and won.
Right.
So I guess by extension, he could technically go back. So technically, he could be the Master of Masters.
But can't you only go back to when you exist?
Maybe. Unless by another time travel shenanigans.
Do you think they'd honestly do that?
I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I'm more willing to buy they go back to that time. I am less willing to buy that Nomura makes Sora the Master of Masters.
Well, I mean, the Master is silly. I don't know. It doesn't sound
And
like.
I mean, to be fair, the battle at the end of 3 may have screwed Sora up.
That's fair. I mean, he's gonna have a psychological break. So, but then again, well, a lot of it I think depends for me is like, do you end 3 as the
Or
finale?
what if the Master of Masters is a version of Sora from that time, and the Master of Masters like, you can be the one to fix this. Do what I could not. Do what I know you could have done that I didn't.
Ooh, I got an idea. That you can have Thor be the Master, but you don't have to deal with the consequences. Multiple timelines.
That could work. That could. Lord knows we've gotten that already.
Multiple timelines, and this is kind of like, or universes. I guess it's timelines and universes. Yeah, it's time travel. Confusing. Where it's sort of like 3. Okay, so here's my scenario. 3 happens, and in one timeline, Sora gets really messed up, and he tries to fix it by going back in time and becomes the Master of Masters, and then it just kind of repeats itself. And then he's like, Sora, you're gonna be the version of me that doesn't get cracked.
Maybe it is the one. Maybe it is the Master of Masters that cornered Maleficent, because he says I can't go back. She says I can't go back that far to change my thing, and I think the person says there is a way.
Why would he? Well, and Sora kind of does owe Maleficent for saving his life once, although he already
again. So Sora very well could be. He could be.
It's almost like the Danny Phantom special, but without Sora turning technically evil, just morally gray.
Like royally evil, yeah.
Not yet, but I mean, although he's still crazy enough to commit genocide, so it's like, or though maybe like this is the version of you that didn't have to do that.
Well, again, remember, Joel, we are coming from a time where children literally killed each other to get light.
And the Master of Masters, you caused that, so that's on you, buddy.
Yeah.
You caused this.
Which is kind of interesting, because that would basically mean that Sora screwed up so badly that he became like that. Which is kind of interesting now that I think about it.
Yeah, this makes it less scary. I think they can do that, but they have to do it in a way that
they have to walk the line very carefully.
Not only just that, they just have to make sure that 3 doesn't end so much in a cliffhanger that we have to wait for 4.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like 3, at the very least, needs to wrap some of this up. It needs to wrap up the Xehanort stuff regardless.
Right, like, I kind of like that as sort of like, I mean, remember, there's that one little scene in the trailer where you have a bunch of Soras running around. That could be multiple Soras.
Oh, God, you could be, shoot, you could be right.
That's good, it's sort of like, and all those Soras are like, okay, this is the time I'm going to win.
And remember, Joel, the one thing, again, okay, people in the comments, if you do not want any sort of, this isn't even really spoilers, but if you do not want any pre-thoughts for 3, stop right here. Just stop. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again later. Those of you who want to hear any more opinions, keep watching.
Okay, keep watching.
Okay, anyway, from what we've heard from people who have allegedly played it, they said it's great. The story is the one thing that they were unsure about.
Not everyone's unsure about the story. I haven't heard that much, but who knows?
Well, again, but that's the thing. And bear in mind, Joel and I don't even know that much, and this is coming from something that may not even have been. It could have been from someone who may have just been joking or trolling. We don't know.
No, I don't remember them talking about the story, but I thought they were talking. I thought they were talking about the gameplay.
Well, that's what I mean. We don't know, but they said the game. I thought they said they enjoyed the gameplay.
They said they like 2 better, but then again, a lot of people are going to say that about Kingdom Hearts 3, I think, no matter what.
Well, the thing is, well, remember, Joel, a lot of people place 2 on much higher pedestal than you and I have.
That's true, so, when 3 comes out...
Joel and I could very easily be the dissenting opinions on that line of logic, and actually could end up... Joel and I may be the ones that praise 3 to high heaven. Who knows?
What have you heard outside of our comment section?
I haven't, thankfully. I have tried very, very, very heavily to stay out of that stuff. I have had to be very, very careful about where I go. The only thing I know is the confirmed world list.
All right. So
that's all I know. I have seen nothing else.
To be fair, Cole, that's only one person. We've only heard from one person, really.
Yeah.
Unless you've heard.
No, and like I said, the only thing I know is the amount of worlds we have in the game supposedly is 13 worlds, so the same as 2.
13 for 13 darknesses, so yay.
Yeah, exactly. Beyond that, I don't know. Now, to be fair, people, there are apparently more out there. I don't know how much was leaked. And before people start looking, I recommend you do not go looking for the leaks. Wait and play the game for yourselves. Because even someone who leaks something and says they didn't care for this, you could feel entirely different about it in your own context.
Oh, also, I got some more speculation on the multiple timeline idea. Remember how in Dream Drop Distance, we see a bunch of Soras running around Traverse Town?
Yeah.
Like, that could be a hint of, like, maybe Sora built everything.
And maybe that's why Xehanort is so interested in Sora. Maybe that's why.
Like, maybe we'll find out, and honestly, if they did this, I kind of would be okay with this. This is not something new to me, where Sora has been trying to, like, not screw this up this time.
He's pulling a source code, like, every time he tries, he fails, and he's trying to find that one time where he's trying to do the Infinity War.
Yeah.
The one time where he gets it right, the 0.00001% chance, and be the Doctor Strange. There was no other way than this.
Right, like, maybe the Master is more like Doctor Strange. Like, he kind of knows, like, I have to do this, so I don't have to do this again. But then again, it's still implications. Well, no, because if Zora didn't have to do it this time, then he doesn't have to implicate genocide.
But again, Zora is righting his own wrongs at that point.
I'm just trying to get to a place where I don't have to feel uncomfortable about Zora committing genocide.
Well, then again, that's even if Sora's the Master of Masters, anyway.
Well, it could be if we do the multiple timeline thing.
But also, people do not be looking into leaks of this game, because again, I don't know how much was leaked, and the other thing is, I don't think the secret... Actually, I have heard very little of any people getting uptight about any sort of ending whatsoever. And again, if that commenter said anything about the gameplay, that likely means that he has not seen the secret ending nor the epilogue.
That could be where people get uptight.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Cole, remember, we always say 1 is the best story. Everyone I know says, no, 2 is the best story. I can get where you're coming from, but I still don't think you're right. I mean...
No, I don't think so either. Now, to be fair, Joel and I have gotten a lot more lighter on 2, and we like a lot more parts about it now, just looking back on it in a different context.
Definitely.
Though I think 1 is the best constructed out of all of them.
Oh, definitely.
And I like Birth by Sleep, but structurally it has a lot of issues, and a lot of writing issues at that.
Right, this is true. Also, it reminds me of another fanfic that I read a couple of weeks ago, which is a Bill Cipher redemption story arc. And the ending, you essentially find out, was like, there are a gazillion, where Bill Cipher becomes a human, yet he remembers his past life, which is kind of cool and weird at the same time. So he's living out a new human life, but he remembers his past life kind of a thing. Kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And essentially, at the end, you find out from the big spirit guy, who's kind of like the Master of Masters in a way, where you find out, oh, you've tried this before a gazillion times, but each time you screwed it up. And this is the one, but now you are the one person who didn't screw it up. You're the 1 billion, you're the 0.001% person who didn't do this.
And to be fair, Joel, there is the possibility that the Sora might not necessarily have been born in Destiny Islands or in that time.
No, I feel like it's going a little too far.
Well, again, I don't put it past Nomura, Joel. Remember, We know nothing of his family life. He may have been very young, but we know next to nothing about his family life. We know he had a father and supposedly a mother, but not much more than that.
He's only 5. He can't. What? You think he'd travel back in time? Like his
Or
family.
they did something like, oh, we'll send this kid forward in time. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, possible.
And again, that would make it sense to how the Master of Masters could come back.
As an adult?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that is possible. So
That's what I'm saying. Don't put again, people. We have to remember this is Nomura. So
another great example. Madoka Magica. Essentially, that's a story about a girl. I'm going to spoil the series. Where essentially the main character dies. And there's this one person who starts out really sweet and nice, keeps going back in time to stop the person from dying. And the more she does it, the more kind of gray and kind of just a little
screwed
bit.
up she gets.
She doesn't go full on evil, but she goes more like Riku when he's morally ambivalent.
Right.
And eventually she finally does it. Like, eventually she finally stops the main character from dying. and it's like that's revealed like in the last 2 episodes. And we just see it happening again. How she keeps going back in time and losing 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 and losing.
Yeah.
So what could we could possibly see? This is turning into Kingdom Hearts 3 speculation.
Well, again, a lot of this hinges on Backcover too.
That's true. But a lot of it could be that the final few hours of Kingdom Hearts 3 is essentially you just play as Sora, or we watch Sora, depending on its cutscene. It's just going back in time, doing this again, and 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 again, until finally, one version of him, in another dimension, or what have you, how time works, finally gets it right and doesn't screw up. What would it be? You know what would be great?
And actually, that's an interesting question, Joel.
What?
That's an interesting thing you say that, because what is the other... There is actually something that kind of could connect to that.
What?
What is the one thing that the Masters gave out? That
Book of Prophecy.
Well, yeah, but he gave something else, another thing to one of the foretellers.
I forget.
He gave him a page that is not in all their copies.
Right.
Something they don't know about.
Right. Maybe
something that is outside of their realm of understanding.
The version where Sora doesn't have to do this again, and he can just be a normal.
Maybe
kid.
It could be.
That would be kind of funny.
And the funny thing is, if it is Gula, that might have been the reason Gula turned traitor.
You know what's kind of funny? You know what'd be kind of cool, even though they won't do this, I don't think, because I think it'd be way too complicated. If you now, because you still have to do the reveal, but that'd be cool if every time you lose, you have to. They kind of like the final boss. They like instead of you have to start over, you kind of just watch Sora do this again, again, again.
It perpetually makes it to where you have to win the final battle, otherwise it just starts back.
I don't know how you would do it gameplay meta wise, and I think that
would be they won't do it, but it'd be hilarious.
That'd be great. Honestly, because essentially since they did introduce time travel, that is the problem.
No, you could make that work gameplay wise. You'd have to fiddle it, but you could make it work.
I mean, maybe. I mean, the more probably could. I don't know.
But funny thing, what if Gula learning that Sora is the Master of Masters and is the cause of all of this? But that last page is what allows him to live on. But him being the one who caused this is what makes Gula turn traitor.
That's possible, and a lot of. But then again, Hold on. I'm trying to think here because I'm trying to do some paradox. I mean, there is paradox, so.
Yeah, we know paradox exists. Aonor continues mentioning it in Dream Drop Distance.
So technically, Sora. Let's say that. Let's think about this. Sora wins. Let's see. We see the Sora that wins and doesn't have to become the Master of Masters. Does that mean the Keyblade War still happens?
Yes, because technically he still went back in time.
Well, no, what if he doesn't go back? Well, that's true. A version
Well,
of
he would have to a portion if he had to go back to that time to change something. That implies that he would probably have to have done something there for it to change. And another thing, Maleficent also professes she tries to keep going back to change her fate.
Right.
So doing something there would have had to have helped.
Well, obviously there's going to be a version of Sora that doesn't have to do any of this. He wins.
Well, again, or that he accomplishes that in the time and goes back and actually does win.
Right.
Depending on how you write it, it could still work.
This does sound like an anime. This does seem like my Madoka Magica. You should look that up, Cole, because that's a great example of this sort of time loop. It's essentially a time loop. It's like I wish Jake was here because I'm sure the Flash has done something like this.
Well, the funny thing is that Final Fantasy has done time loop stuff before. Literally, the first Final Fantasy and the big end game plot is for the main villain to go back in time and basically get all the major evil powers of the world, put himself in a time loop, become a gigantic god monster, and live forever in a loop he created.
It sounds more like Sora's doing the Fawn thing, but just less evil, or maybe more evil because it's genocide of children. I mean, it could be interesting. I'm just worried about character damage.
Now, to be fair, we don't know. Nomura may not even do this at all. Joel and I could be completely off.
We have to consider the worst.
Joel, bear in mind, people, Joel and I have been doing this series for a couple of months now. So, going from where we've gone, we have to consider these things. Because if we go into 3 not thinking about them, then really we're at blame for expecting the best. Whereas if we expect some issues, we at least know going in what could be issues, and then know it and still enjoy it in spite of that.
I mean,
we have to go
issues
in
no matter what. No game is perfect.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, at least having an idea of what could happen and kind of being realistic about it, given Nomura's track record.
Here's a question, though. I guess we also have to consider how much do you think? But how do you think Nomura feels about Sora himself? Do you think he doesn't want? I don't think he wants to ruin his baby.
No. And Nomura has said Sora continues on.
That's the thing about making Sora the Master Master. I take a pause is Sora's Nomura's baby. And as much as a crazy writer Nomura can be, part of me can't see him potentially doing some great character damage to his baby.
Yeah, I agree. There is very much easy. It is very, very easy for him to do some character damage. He could write around it and not be the case. He could pull a Luke. He could. But again, if Sora is the Master of Masters, it heavily relies on what he tries to do to subvert the Keyblade War as the Master of Masters.
It's also interesting he calls himself the Master of Masters because it's like, you didn't get to be a master in Dream Drop Distance.
Well, in 3 he apparently is one.
Yes. And maybe he'd be the last one, only one left.
The last master.
The last Keyblade Master.
Kingdom Hearts, the last master.
The last Keyblade Master. It's more interesting. Dun, 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 dun. No, that's what's gonna happen. He comes back. No, he comes back 30 years later to a bunch of AT-ATs and Riku's evil kid. Sorry.
Wouldn't it be funny if Iro was Replica? Wouldn't that be funny?
That'd be great.
It won't be, but it'd be hilarious. Actually, it would make more sense to take Replica back, because at least then I don't think he would cause much of a paradox.
I got a weird idea. What if Ven's the Master of Masters going back? Or Vanitas?
Well, again, Vanitas is not, at least not that we know of. Again, that still really hinges on Sora, so then we still are questioning exactly. But then again, if
Master of Masters is one of the... being Master of Masters, to be quite honest.
Huh?
I'd be more comfortable with Ven being the Master of Masters.
No, I don't know if I would, because remember, that basically means that the Master of Masters said, screw all of y'all, I'm going to live on, y'all are going to die. So that still means he's pro-genocide because that means he's with the Dandelions. He said, screw y'all are dead.
That's true.
That makes it even more overt that, yeah, screw y'all, I'm out.
Well, hang on. Master disappeared, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he disappeared because he finally won. He finally didn't screw it up.
Maybe. I don't think he's Ventus.
Well, I mean, if he was Sora.
Well, yeah, but bear in mind, Ventus is after the Keyblade War, so that means if he is the Master of Masters, it's like, nope, peace, y'all getting killed, I'm out.
Well, Masters is older, so Sora would have to go into the past when he's older, then, right?
Or maybe he went there. He went there a little bit before the Foretellers were a thing. We don't know how long they were trained. He and the Foretellers were training.
That's true. Had to develop some sort of repertoire with them.
Oh God, I am starting to think that Sora may actually be the Master of Masters.
I'm starting to think that too, and I'm both scared and excited.
I am intrigued, but very, very scared.
I don't want Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out anymore, but I'm too scared to find out.
Well, we got, but when tomorrow hits, we'll have 20 days until 3.
I'm scared now, Cole. Hold me. I'm very nervous.
Part of me is tempted when the Japanese release happens to see if anyone can get to the final battle quickly, just to see what ends up happening. Just so Joel can ask me, good or bad.
I don't want to know the details, Cole, but I do want to get a general sense of what I'm getting myself into.
I kind of want to know that myself, because that's the thing. I'm excited for 3. I want to have realistic expectations about that ending. Because remember, Nomura, again, I have to keep bringing this up. Nomura has said that the epilogue and the secret ending are the most major spoilers.
And that Sora goes on and he's the main character.
Yeah.
But we also have to keep in mind, I can't see Kingdom Hearts 4 dealing with a grown-up Sora.
I don't either.
And I can, though, see a time loop scenario because anime has done that before.
Yep.
Science fiction has done that before.
Kingdom Hearts has done this before!
But was young Xander in a time loop, or just...
Well, yeah, he would have had to have come back. Xemnas? Ansem?
Well, I mean, like, he keeps failing at his thing, and he's just like, oh, I'm gonna try again.
Maleficent!
That's true. So, we've done the time loop. I'm gonna keep... Well, Maleficent, like, she's the main person who's done this. Like, I keep trying to do this, and I keep losing.
Exactly. So maybe Sora. So what if the Master of Masters we see that corners is like, hey, I've done it right. Follow me. I can help you out.
I would like it only for 2 reasons. One, I would love them to pull a Danny Phantom thing.
Yeah, me too.
But 2, the Masters can't be what Sora becomes permanently. That has to be like
exactly.
It has to be the Danny Phantom thing. It has to be, this is a version of you that's screwed up and maybe trying to fix it, but maybe got a little carried away with genociding. And now the Sora we know and love has to come and kick your butt.
Joel, I got an even funnier idea. What if Lucio is Replica?
Well, there's an ooh, so yeah. But he doesn't sound like Riku though.
Yeah, but he could be an older Riku.
He's not that old. He's exactly the same age.
No, probably a couple years older.
Then he's the Riku we know.
No, even probably a little older than Replica, than the real Riku. Lucio seems a bit older than Riku we know.
Well, that's true.
I'd gauge that Riku's probably 18 and around this time. I'd gather Lucio's probably 20, 21.
That's true, and if Replica is the young version, that makes Sora older. By just default.
And again, if Sora plays his cards right, he might be able to get Lucio Replica. Oh God, I can't believe it. What if this happens?
We have to consider these possibilities.
Again, people, I'm sure in a little bit we're going to get a lot of comments saying
we never get comments
off the wall mad.
We never get comments.
But again, if people, I imagine viewers would say, y'all are out of your mind. But again, Nomura has done a lot of really bizarre stuff before, stuff Joel and I would never have pondered.
To be fair, I'm not against some of this. And
No, me
I'm not even
neither.
against some of the bizarre stuff Nomura has done
No.
necessarily. I'm just more, it's more the execution is my problem. And even
Again, it's execution, and that's what I'm not so sure Lamore's going to do too well.
perhaps I got a little more faith since this is the big one, and there's a lot more pressure.
Hmm.
Um,
And Square maybe tightening down, saying, "Hey, you really need to tighten up on this."
that too. So I got a little bit more faith than maybe you do, Cole.
No, I have faith. Don't get me wrong. I'm just like, how could I'm thinking to myself? I'm going through the ways in my head. I'm like, how could Nomura screw this up? How could Nomura screw this up?
The screw.
Because remember, Joel, I have dealt with a man who basically was a part of a 10-year-long development cycle of a game that technically didn't really happen under his leadership.
To be fair, that was more Square's fault. Let's not blame him for everything.
Well, no. Some of it probably was, but not entirely. Because Hajime Tabata came out and said that Versus was a game that never particularly took form.
3 seems to have a better production
And that's what I mean. Like Nomura, I'm pretty sure Nomura probably got lazy around that time. He's like, I don't really need to do this. I'm making bucks with Kingdom Hearts.
Right. I'm sure he knows the pressure is on. I don't think he's that.
I think he realizes now that he's like, yeah, I can't really let that happen anymore. Especially, I think Nomura himself is even getting aware of what a lot of the fan base is thinking of him nowadays.
So I'm not too worried about that. I'm more worried
No,
just about the implications of possibly this could ruin Sora's character.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, again, we use the Danny Phantom sort of scenario here. And you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You're a big fan, so you know Danny
Yeah.
Phantom.
Love Danny Phantom.
And I would honestly love like Sora to fight himself one of these days. That'd be a great.
Yeah. And I find it also even more interesting that he's the one that a version of him created Xehanort's Keyblade.
Right.
That it was his heart that created that Keyblade.
Now, I think what's important is we're making up a story. I feel like here, and I feel like we got a little off the rails. But let's keep going.
Well, again, people, we are setting up for things that I would not put past Nomura to do. The thing I don't think Nomura is going to do is make Riku the Master of Masters. I don't think he's going to make. I don't understand how he's not going to make Kairi the Master of Masters. I highly doubt Nomura would ever do that.
Gender swap.
And I don't think he's going to make Terra. Lord, I better hope he doesn't do that.
What if he
Terra
makes Roxas the Master of Masters?
Huh?
What if he makes Roxas the Master of Masters?
That would be kind of funny.
That's actually a possible scenario.
That's also possible. Roxas and Sora, I think, are the likely candidates.
I wouldn't mind Roxas because I feel like Roxas would do some of those things.
Me too, and I feel like he's seen enough shit for him to do some of those things.
Maybe Roxas.
But actually, it would make more sense for Roxas to fall.
Not necessarily fall, but just.
Well, think of it like this. Think of what he went through in Days.
Yeah.
Think of what he goes through in 2.
Right.
He just wanted to live. Keyword, he wanted to live.
That actually fits more with the MOM's motif.
Yeah.
But then again, why go back in time? But then again, well, and nobody's have hearts now.
Yeah. Yep.
I kind of like the idea of Roxas being the Master of Masters, but I think thematically it kind of makes more sense for Sora to be that.
I think so too. Yeah.
Unless Roxas starts getting some big character stuff in 3.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we should probably cut it here, Joel, because I feel like we're just like, I know we're going off track, but the thing is, Joel and I have to take with what we got and try to place it where it could fall in line with 3, because Nomura keeps touting up that some of it is going to fall in line with 3. We just don't know how.
Right, and
we have to take that into consideration at least somewhat.
What we need to do next is start looking at Backcover and see if we can't start finding little things that connect Sora and the Master of Masters.
I mean, I've watched Backcover and...
Or at least a version of Sora. We can't...
A version, maybe. Some of the mannerisms, maybe. I could buy that Haley Joel Osment could sound like the guy who plays Noctis.
Yeah. This got weird at the end here. I'm scared, Cole. You know what, Cole? This is your mission. When Kingdom Hearts in Japan comes out, I want you just to do some sniffing don't try to spoil yourself. And if you
No, I am not going to
and
spoil everything because, believe me, I have been looking forward to 3 for at least 10 years of my life. Half my life now I've been looking forward to 3.
but at the very least, try to find some vague reviews and just form discussion about how other people are saying and feeling.
The thing is, if I start looking at forum discussion, I'm going to find spoilers. That's the one thing, big problem with the Kingdom Hearts fan base. Spoilers are very hard to keep at bay.
True, but
Especially considering Birth by Sleep, spoilers were a big thing.
Okay, well, try what you can do.
I'll see what I can find.
And tell me. But don't tell me details. Anywho.
Because that's the other thing I want to. Because that's the other thing I have. I know I'm going to play 3, but I need to know how quickly I need to get through 3.
Well, I'm going to probably play it at my own pace for a little bit.
Well, that's what I mean. But is the ending game changing? That's what I'm asking. That's what I want to know.
I think we want to know what we're to expect. I think we want to cushion the fall.
Yeah, exactly. We want to know where we go, what the future is, because Nomura keeps telling up that it's going to have one.
Right. I think with that, let's wrap it up. I gotta use the restroom. So, thanks, folks, for joining. This got wild. This was an hour 45. A lot of it was just our weird headcanon at this point.
Well, a lot of it started with a genuine go through of Backcover, but
that's true.
And a lot of it was, and what we try to do, and to be fair, people watch us, what we do. We try to connect things overall. So with Backcover, there's a lot of stuff that could connect. And that's the thing with Backcover and the Chiverse. That vagueness can let the mind wander. I just hope Nomura doesn't let that bite him in the ass.
I'm, for some strange reason, more confident it won't. I don't know why.
I agree. I don't think it will either.
I mean, I could still see a scenario where Sora is the master of masters, but I'm honestly, after talking through it with you, Cole, that is not a worst case scenario for me. That's kind of actually interesting.
No, that is not. There are many other worst case scenarios.
I mean, I guess it can be a worst case scenario, but after talking it,
I feel like considering what Nomura could do, there could be much worse.
Right. For me, it all depends if we don't make Sora the villain.
Yes.
By accident.
Yeah. Nomura, don't Mass Effect 3 this, okay?
Don't turn Sora into Thanos. At least,
no.
Or at
don't
least
make Sora Thanos. No.
Make him into evil Danny Phantom. That's fine. Do that, but not that. Okay.
Don't make him the catalyst for the fall of the world.
At least, yeah, that's it. So, after talking to you, I feel better. I think with that, we're going to just look forward to the prologue coming soon.
The prologue will probably be here at around the 14th or the 15th, roughly.
Okay, well, you can do that.
Also, bear in mind, people, I am going to try to remove comments and things from that. I'm doing that as a precaution to both Joel and I's sanity.
Yeah, and also because I want to continue our critical run a little bit more. But then again, let's wait till after 3 to do the critical run.
Critical run might be better until after 3, but again, I will probably remove comments for that just so Joel and I can save our own sanity.
Right. Well, folks, that was fun. And until next time, may your heart be your guiding key. Later.